Hey, welcome to the Travel Winds podcast. And today I'm lucky to have Donny Starkins. How are you today, Donny?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I appreciate the time. Donny is a yoga instructor, a personal coach, an all-around guru kind of guy. I'm excited to talk to you about everything that you have going on, and then how the lockdown affected your business and the people you work with.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm excited to chop it up with you.
There you go. So, what do you consider your yoga coach being the main? I mean, you have a lot of different hats going on right now. And so I was just curious, is how do you define yourself when if I were to meet you on an airplane, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say I'm a meditation and yoga teacher, a
Okay.
life coach and personal development coach, and a podcast co-host. Those are the main things that I do. I think what takes up most of my days as far as work these days is around the coaching, life
Okay.
coaching. I have a life coaching program called The Shift. It's a personal development for the mind, body, soul. And I have a lot of professional athletes that I work with, but then at the same time, I have stay-at-home moms that I work with, CEOs, and it's really all walks of life, young adults, teenagers. To me, the work that we do is the same, and it's all about just freedom and self-confidence and self-esteem and core values and creating mission statements. So really it's a model that can work for everybody. But I do, because my background is yoga and meditation, I can weave in mindfulness and meditation and visualization into the coaching. And at the same time, I teach. So I lead retreats. I partake or participate as a presenter in yoga festivals. I just got back earlier this month from Telluride Yoga Festival.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's a really cool life where I get to kind of teach. To me, it's all personal development, even though it looks a little different from yoga, meditation, or this one-on-one coaching that I do.
Have you seen an upswing in your people interested in what you're doing after coming through the lockdown periods?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So early on, I planned 2 retreats at the beginning of this year. So it was March and April. It was kind of a risk to get back into a group setting
Yeah.
that soon, but I just felt called to do it, and I was willing to take that risk. And I did it at a here in Arizona, a place called Sivana. It's a really cool wellness resort that they've put together in the last couple of years. And I did back-to-back separate ones, one in March, one in April. And I was just blown away by the transformations that happened in that time. I always say space creates appreciation. So
Yeah.
the space, the human connection, the ability to travel, it was all taken away from us. And a lot of us faced a lot of stuff, trauma,
Yeah.
a lot of challenges, and just the mere fact of human connection being taken away can be so damaging to us. So to get everybody together again and to work on themselves and do yoga and practice, it was just so transformational to witness everybody doing their work and reconnecting on a human level. It was really cool to see. So yes, I think people are ready for this work.
Do you think, I'm just thinking this off the top of my head. Do you think yoga and mindfulness can really help you, heal your body in the sense of, I mean, well, most people, I don't want to speak for everyone. Most people were probably nervous about getting COVID. And so, I mean, a lot of people went to the holistic approach of, the mind can heal the body and that type of thing, and staying more active and more healthy, hopefully with their diet and everything, as a way to combat, if you do catch it, I guess. Have you had people ask about that?
Well, I can just share my own personal experience
Okay.
of, I would say absolutely 100% yes. Yoga, meditation can heal your mind, body, and your spirit or your soul. I come from a world, so I grew up playing baseball, college baseball here at Arizona State all the way till my senior year. I had a really big surgery a traumatic knee operation that ended baseball for me, that started a life of an addiction to pain pills. I ended up getting addicted to the pain pills. I thought it was from the surgery, but really it was from the loss of my purpose. Like, baseball was
Yeah.
my life. It was everything I ever knew. And then one day it was taken from me. And so when my life got so bad, I ended up in rehab. I went to rehab and I got really curious on what had happened to my life, going from this baseball player to a drug addict. Where did it all go wrong? And that
Right.
was the beginning of my journey into personal development, where I started working on myself and going to therapy. And I understood that I didn't want to feel the emotional pain of the loss of baseball. So I numbed it every single day for many years by popping pills. And I'm going somewhere with this because this is where yoga came into my life, where my mom, physically, my body was really banged up from all these surgeries. My
Yeah.
mom kept saying, you need to do yoga. And I would tell her, yoga's for
Yeah.
girls and hippies. I'm not doing that stuff. And then I did it once, and I did it one time, and I knew I would do it the rest of my life from a physical standpoint. But little did I know what it would do for the mind and the soul. And that's where the yoga really started to make sense. Now, I've had 7 surgeries on my left knee. I have no ACL. And today I walk around pain free. But even more importantly, I've been sober for many years. And I believe the yoga and the meditation is such an important part of my own recovery. And it's healed me. I mean, you look at my knee on a physical, like, they
It
told me
shouldn't
I
be
have the
it.
knee of a 90. Yeah, they told me I had the knee of a 90-year-old man 20 years ago. And so there's a miracle going on in there, and I give the glory to my yoga practice. It's really saved my butt.
How do you, and you, like you mentioned, you have several uh, NFL players. I mean, the manliest of men and all that. How do you get around the, like, the same preconceived notion that you had, that it's, hippy dippy kind of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like the people I attract into this type of work
Mm.
are ready for it. A few of my coaching clients, Darren Waller, Tyrann Mathieu, both of them. So the common theme with them is they had trouble past. Darren's been sober 3 years. Tyrann went through a lot of struggles in college and completely changed his life around. So I think what allows them permission to kind of receive this and accept this is our past, right? It's
Right.
like there's some trust there that this stuff works, and our past kind of connects us. And so people are so more open to receiving it. And guys like Tyrann and Darren are changing the language and changing the conversation of what it
Yeah.
really means to be a man, and what strength and actually that humility and admitting you have problems and admitting that you might be struggling is actually a sign of strength and not weakness. So I think it's just me sharing my story that invites honesty and permission for them to do the same and receive it.
See, I totally agree. I mean, there are many things I wish I would have learned at a younger age. Now, I did my first sound bath a week and a half ago, just to, just to experience it. And it was cool. It's like, and then my wife teaches Pilates, so, which is perceived as to be a woman thing. But I mean, there's things on there I can't do, just stretching and just, it's not always, after I played football and wrestled and did all, all the physical contact. So I just hope it gets out to younger people sooner than me being in my 50s learning to do all this.
I did Pilates last week, and it was one of the hardest things I've done in a really long time. I know a lot of pro
Yeah.
athletes that are implementing Pilates into their practice. And I almost feel like when I do Pilates, that is, in a sense, part of my yoga, where
Sure.
I actually have to be way more present in a Pilates class than even in a yoga class, just because of, there's machines and the balancing. And so to me, it is a practice of yoga, and I enjoy it. And it's not easy.
Yeah, it can be as hard as you want it to be. I mean, I've been on tables in group classes with an 80-year-old woman, and we're doing the same exercise, but with just the advent of the springs and how my wife adjusts them, I'm like, oh, this is really hard. And the 80-year-old lady next to me is knocking them out. And I just like, I think that's what you're doing is a really good thing, is making yoga and mindfulness, getting out to the masses. Because I don't think even pre-internet you could really. It was very difficult. I mean, you'd have to have somebody walk in to your yoga studio and say, "Hey, what is this?" Versus now people go on YouTube
Well,
and
and
kind of
just
see what you're doing.
Yeah, and getting over the perception that it's like this Eastern philosophy or it's tied to religion, which I think a lot of public schools still struggle with bringing yoga or meditation into the school system
Cool
tied
stuff.
to religion, which is couldn't be so far from the truth. This is
Right.
about training the mind to work for us and not against us, and learning how to be our own best friend, and not to know that we're not our thoughts. I mean, these are all kind of important things that would have been really nice to have been learned to
Yeah.
learn when we were in grade school,
Yeah.
but we weren't, right? And so that's why I'm so passionate about carrying this message, is to just plant seeds and be able to help people understand that they're not their thoughts, and that we need to love ourselves first before we can love anybody else, and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and not putting everybody else's needs before our own needs.
Yeah. I'm just thinking back. I'm trying to imagine hearing that, 30 or 40 years ago when I was in school. It's like, but that wouldn't have happened. Oh,
No, and it's still not happening. It's taking long, but it's, the more that we see the struggle with mental health,
yeah.
and especially with technology and our younger generation growing up with smartphones in their hands and all the social media stuff. I mean, it's even more important right now that we implement these practices, so that we are actually using our mind to work for us and not continue to work against us and create a lot of problems that don't need to be there, because a lot of them are imagined.
Yeah. And self-induced kind of, but I feel like the phone can be really good or really bad, and you get to choose how you use it. I mean,
Just like
I
everything else, right? It's all like
yeah,
mind. Our mind's the same way. It can be really good or it can be really bad. And so it's like, how do we use it to work for us? How do we use the phone to connect us
yeah,
in a deep and meaningful way, instead of disconnecting us and numbing out from maybe what we need to be feeling, so that we can heal whatever needs to be healed?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I know you've traveled quite a bit for yoga. I mean, going to Costa Rica, New York, Utah. You know, I, how is it different going to these different places and different countries, even? As the yoga coach.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like it's I'm so grateful. It's a big piece of my gratitude, is the opportunities that I've been able to experience
Yeah.
because of teaching yoga, and the amazing human beings I've connected with. I just had this image in my head when you named off New York, where I got to teach 2 years in a row at Bryant Park, outside in the middle of the city, doing a yoga class, in a
That's so
sense,
cool.
being the calm within the storm. And
Yeah.
it was so cool just to be like, wow, there's all this noise, sirens, and everything going on around us. And we get to practice presence. And just this one picture I have, and seeing all these different walks of life, practicing together as one, because yoga is all about connection. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of things that disconnect us from the world. So it's about bringing and teaching us the power of connection, but also breaking through some of those layers of disconnection that come up in between our practices. So yeah, it's been
That's
amazing.
cool.
I mean, Costa Rica, Park City, Utah, that was my retreat a couple of weeks ago. Had opportunities to teach in Hawaii and Maui and Kauai, Whistler, Canada, Telluride. There's just so many cool places and cool experiences and magical moments that I've been able to share while being there.
When you travel, and I don't know how this, are you pretty much just traveling with what you have? I mean, is there a mat? Do you bring certain things, or is it like you just show up and you're the guest instructor and you do your thing? And that'd be an easy way to travel.
Totally. Yeah. It just depends on the context. If it's
Okay.
my own retreat that I'm leading,
A lot of
I
work.
might have supplies. I might have to ship stuff. But if it's a facility that's bringing me in to be a host for a retreat or for an experience, they typically would supply a lot of the stuff.
Okay.
So it kind of just depends where you're traveling, and what the context is. If it's a yoga festival, typically, you know, they're going to have mats, they're going to have all the supplies, everything that you need. If it's blocks and different props that you use. So yeah, it just depends on
Okay.
what the actual event is.
Because I'm always interested to see what people have to carry with them. You know, I interviewed a magician, and I'm like, "What's it like going through TSA with you? With because he has the knives and all the weird stuff that he has to bring."
Well, I
So,
brought a guy on my last retreat to Park City who does sound, like similar to yours, a sound healing, like sound and breath work.
yeah,
And so he had to pack. He had all these cool, like really unique instruments and a gong and a rain shaker and
yeah,
all
yeah,
these to create the sounds. And yeah, so he had to come a little bit more prepared with his tools and instruments than maybe I did.
yeah. It's not now. I know you're engaged. Have
Yes.
have you talked about with your fiance? Have you talked about? I mean, obviously she knows how much you travel, and your schedule is changing. Is it something you definitely have talked about? You know, like, hey, this is my life, versus some women and men want, hey, come home. I want to have dinner at 6 o'clock every night. That's not my lifestyle. At least my wife knows it. So
No, that's a great question. Early on when I was teaching and starting to travel, and still to this day, it's really cool because she does a little traveling and speaks in her industry. So if we knew there was an event or if she had an event, I could strategically almost plan something in that same city
nice.
and do a workshop or lead some type of event. So we get to travel together, but do our own work and then come back at the end of the night. And then a lot of the other experiences, she'll just come with, or she'll attend, or
Yeah.
she'll stay at home and hang out at home with our French bulldogs. So yeah, it just depends. But we've had a lot of awesome experiences on work that I've been doing where we've maybe tied some extra days on the front end or back end so we can create a vacation out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes just those 2-day weekend events that she might be working, I'm working, but we stay a couple extra days on the back end of it and get to have a little vacation.
How often do you travel with the Frenchies?
Not There's three of them now, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, when there was one he would come to a lot of places with us, but now that there's three, they all just stay home.
Yeah. We have the one, and he's plenty. He's a great road dog. I mean, he's awesome in the cars, but I couldn't imagine traveling with three. So I feel you on that one.
Yeah, three's a crowd.
And then some. So is that something, I don't know if you're having children, but I know, is that some a conversation you've had with your fiance, is it about having kids, or who handles what because of the traveling schedules?
um, yeah, we've definitely talked about it, and lucky for us, we have enough family. Her family lives in Tucson, which is just hour 45 minutes away. My family all lives here. So there's
Okay.
enough support and enough family to kind of fill in. In fact, some of my brother might come over, or my best friend or one of her friends when we do leave town to house sit or dog sit. So I think because our family is so close that, if and when
Yeah.
that happens, that we'll have that pretty much under control.
Yeah. That's something a lot of people don't think about when they're getting pets. You know,
Right? No,
uh, especially with Frenchies. I mean, you have to be careful because they overheat, and where you
exactly.
live, it's
Got to
warm.
treat them like babies for the most part. At least we do.
Yep, same. Yeah, we have the stroller. We have all the accoutrements that no dog should ever need or want.
I
It's
feel
just
you.
it's just the way they are, though. How big are your Frenchies?
So the youngest one, he just turned one. He's the biggest. He's got to be. I need to check his weight, but I think he's like 36, 37 pounds.
It's a heifer.
Yeah, he's a beast. And then Bubba, our oldest or our original one, our first one, he's like 23 pounds, and then Cody's like 21 pounds.
So you got two little nuggets, and then the big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louis 31, 32 pounds. So he's pretty good size.
Louis just sounds like the perfect bulldog name.
Louis. Yeah. Well, because my wife want like Louis Vuitton, King Louis, all the French names that go along with that.
Yeah.
So that's where we get that from. What do you have coming up? I mean, what's the best way for people to see what you have going on? And I know you have some projects coming up, but maybe not specifics. But how do people find out what you do have going on?
Yeah, the easiest way, my website. So my name is Donny Starkins. It's Donny with a Y, DonnyStarkins.com. My Instagram is Donny_Starkins. And I promote a ton within social media and on my website. I typically do a minimum of 4 retreats a year. And so the rest of this year, it looks like, so I'm going to be doing a Sedona, Arizona. I try to do one a year there because it's just such a magical place and it's so close to me. That's going to be, I'm just hammering down the date. It's going to be either the weekend of October 16th, or it's going to be the same, like right around the middle of November. So I'll know that probably in the next couple days. And then I have a Costa Rica retreat at October 31st through November 6th. That one, the space is a little limited because it's this, we're all under one roof. It's like there's 12 to 14 people. It's this massive house. I'll send you a link. It's a
Yeah, that's
really
cool.
cool really cool house, really cool. Like, I know they host other retreats there. It's pretty epic with an epic view in Manuel Antonio, Costa Rica. But next year I'll typically do I'll do one local here in Arizona, probably Carefree or Scottsdale, one in Sedona. I need to get back to Whistler, Canada. That's a place where I was
Yeah.
going every summer. Canada's just been really slow to open up. And then Tulum, Mexico is on the schedule. So those will be
Oh,
my
nice.
4 for 2022.
So you're already scheduled out. That's pretty cool, though. I mean, not date, maybe not
Yeah,
date wise, but at least.
yeah, those are the locations for sure for 2022. I mean, I was averaging for a year, and that all slowed down with COVID, but now we're getting back ramped up.
Because like you said, and Canada's not letting people in right now at all. And is Costa Rica pretty open right now?
Yeah, Costa Rica's open.
Okay.
Canada's just been the slowest one to open and allow people back in. So
Yeah.
that one's kind of a bit of unknown. But yeah, these are awesome. They're wellness retreats. We do yoga, we do fitness. You don't need to know how to do yoga. I have plenty of people that have never done yoga that come on these retreats. The yoga is a small piece of it. It's a lot of personal development, nature, getting outside, exploring some of the coolest places in whatever location that we're at. A lot of really amazing meals together, try to do farm to table meals. So to really just try to make it an epic experience and a transformational experience for all that attend.
Well, I think that you set up those retreats to give people kind of a game plan for the rest for their life, for the next quarter, for the next year. Meaning, or is it just about being there and just being present for that time? Because like for business travelers, we're always like I stay home for a week and I do really well. I exercise, I eat good, and then I get on the road, and then it's like, oh shoot, I need to eat something. Let me just go to McDonald's, or let me stop at the Arc, the AM/PM, and get something real quick, and just get back on the road for another 6 hours of driving. So as far as routine wise for business travel, I mean, the retreats really help with that kind of set you up for success
Yeah, so
afterwards.
absolutely. I mean, they will bring into awareness, basically where we're at. When people go on retreats, something is calling them for more. Maybe they need a reset. Maybe they need to
Yeah.
disconnect to reconnect. Maybe they've neglected their own self-care and self-love.
Froze up a little bit there.
Them to neglect themselves. So we just kind of do the assessment of like, where are you at? Where do you want to go? Like setting these goals and setting these commitments and understanding what's been stopping them and slowing them down. This is the work of personal development, and why meditation and understanding the thoughts that create some of the limiting beliefs and lack of self-love. So then we can create some accountability. Okay, well, what are your goals? What is your vision? What are your commitments to action? Because it's all good when you're in the retreat, but you go back into the real world, you're going to have those same stressors and same distractions. So it's about creating accountability and holding them to those commitments to action with follow up and additional coaching that I can offer through my coaching program.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So it does sound ideal for business travelers to kind of get, like you said, maybe it's a reset button. Because I found like I used to travel 110 to 120 days a year for my job, and now it's yeah. Some of the musicians I talked to were 240, 250 days a year, and that went to zero. So and now they're trying to ramp back up, and they're like you, where they're like, okay, well maybe in October, November, they're starting to schedule things, and just like me, I won't travel that much anymore. The company that I work for has changed their policies as far as how much travel. They figured out we don't need to travel as much. We're doing much more Zoom calls. So it's kind of weird, but starting over.
Yeah, it's weird. And I think the traveling piece of it, why this wellness and self-care practice matters is because traveling can suck the life out of you in so many ways where we get
Yeah.
out of our routines. Even just being on a plane or being around the energy of other people in an airport or in an
Yeah.
airplane can be, in a sense, somewhat toxic, especially if we take on other people's energy
Yeah.
very easily, then we need to have some healthy ways to detox or to have a clearing, so we're not carrying that stuff with us. So I believe in these practices and having a morning routine and establishing that. And you got to put yourself first. I think a lot of people think it's selfish to put yourself first, but it's actually selfish not to, because if you're not taking care of yourself and staying committed to your self-care, then your family, your company, your children, they're getting you at 10% depleted and tired. It's the whole analogy of just putting your
Yeah.
own oxygen mask on first.
I like that. Yeah. That's absolutely right. I think a lot of the business owners I talk to feel that way. That when I come home, I have to, I've been gone. So now what do I have to do to my wife to make them happy and my kids? And so it yeah, I like that. You got to put your oxygen max on first. I'll be using that one.
Yeah.
Well, again, I appreciate the time. Is there anything you want to mention before we break up? I mean, you've got a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think if anybody needs some guidance on coaching, my coaching program, The Shift, it's a 90-day coaching program. We do one-on-one sessions. I do have some availability in my calendar right now. If anybody's interested in this, or if any of my message is resonating, I love this work. I feel like, it's some of the stuff that we didn't get growing up, and now
Yeah.
it's being able to really create some healthy boundaries and creating more self-confidence and improving our self-esteem by creating new commitments to action, keeping the promises we make to ourselves, implementing meditation and gratitude, writing what we're grateful for every day. I believe gratitude changes the way we see the world. So
Yeah.
I feel like everybody knows what to do. They just don't always do it. And that's why accountability or having a coach in your corner is so powerful, because if not, our old habits just consume us and then we end up getting more of what we don't want. So, I just feel like if there was a doctor who had a cure for cancer, or knew how to cure people, they would be on fire to be writing as many prescriptions or
Get it
save
out.
as many people as possible. And that's really how passionate I feel about mindfulness and personal development, that we need to take care of ourselves, our well-being, and our own mental health before we can even consider giving that back away to the world.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I after watching some of your stuff, I was like, "Man, I can't wait to talk to him and share your story and your mindset, because I think it's going to really help. Especially, I mean, like we've talked about so much is coming out of the lockdown. It's a lot of people got turned around. So it's nice to meet somebody like you that can hopefully get us all back online.
Well, it's, the work never stops. I'm in this work with everybody else, and I just
Yeah.
think it's important. Part of the shared human experience is that we're all going to struggle. We're all going to go through tough times. This is actually what connects us all. And so when we
Yeah.
know that, we know that we're in this together, we can bankrupt the story that I'm all alone, nobody understands. Everybody else is out to get me. It's like, no, we're in this together. Pain and the struggle is what
Yeah.
connects us. And it's on us to take personal responsibility to take care of ourselves, heal what needs to be healed. So, so that we can be free. I think that's what we're all trying to do, is just live a life of freedom. And sometimes we just don't know where to go. And my recommendation is to go inward and stop looking outside of yourself and just start to focus on you and let the change happen from the inside out.
I think actually attract more people that way too. The more like I think people are more attracted to you because you are more centered within yourself. So
Yeah, it's
versus
like
just
just
always exterior.
having that feeling of just groundedness and people that can maybe trust and feel stable in your own center is, yeah, it's really powerful. I think any time we're around someone that feels unstable, right? It's like we can't trust that. It doesn't
Yeah.
allow us to feel safe. So the more I can create a safe, open space for other people. But again, this all has to start with myself and make sure I'm staying in the work also.
Yeah. Totally agree. Well, hey, I appreciate the time. I don't want to eat up any more of your day, but I'll make sure everyone gets over to DonnyStarkins.com. I'll have all of your social media links on my website as well. So we'll just get everybody we can tied into you.
Yeah. Thanks again. Thanks again for having me. This was a good time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Donnie. Talk to you
Yep.
soon.